All right, everybody, welcome to our heat call. It is March 21st, and I'm really excited for this call because you guys are going to be, those of you that don't know Maraya Brown, you're going to get a real treat listening to her talk. She's got, sometimes she talks and I think, is that my NMD talking? Because she's got such great verbiage and such passion and such belief in what she's doing. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Nikki Cotton. Chris and I are 100 Club. We've been with Juice Plus Company for 26 years. And it's really been a journey, certainly for Chris and I. We started this business out absolutely flat broke. And we're able to, over the first 90 days, create some momentum that changed truly the rest of our lives. And you're going to hear a little bit about Maraya's story. Maraya is a certified nurse practitioner. I always give her the wrong title. She can correct me, I know. And you know what? Rather than spending a lot of time on me, I'm really excited for you to hear Maraya's journey, because her and Michael, her husband, have had quite an amazing story with Juice Plus. You know, being up in the middle of almost Alaska in a tent, and being flat broke, and she's going to tell you how they came through all of that. So Maraya, can I turn this over to you?
Sure.
And I so admire you and Michael, and I'm so proud to have you as part of my team.
Oh, thanks, Nikki. Of course, I'm a little bit nervous, and it's all good. Okay, so yeah. So like Nikki said, I'm a midwife, and you know, my official title is a certified nurse midwife. And I've been around humans giving birth for about 17 years now. When I look back, I was also, as a kid, the one that was always stay up at night for the puppies to be born. So I think I've really been a midwife most of my life. And I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to talk about today. And there's something that came to me. You know, everybody hears that thing, all I really need to know I learned in kindergarten. Well, anyone who knows me, I often say all I really need to know I learned from labor. As a midwife, I really feel like birth perpetually teaches us lessons, and so does motherhood. And so I've tried to kind of weave that into my talk, and hopefully you guys learn something from it and leave feeling, I don't know, like you've enjoyed your half an hour of time. So I'm a midwife, and I did a nurse practitioner training at Yale University. And so as a nurse practitioner, I specialized in OBGYN, which makes me a certified nurse midwife. And I was finishing my training in 2007, and Chris Cotton actually introduced me to Juice Plus, and right away it just made perfect sense. I mean, I really believe Hippocrates had it just right. Let thy food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be thy food. I just realized I forgot to start my timer. And so I said, yeah, sign me up. It's something that I want to add into my body. And right around the same time, I was doing my last clinical rotation in Hawaii. And I met this really good-looking, fun, muscular guy. And we went on a date. And our first date, he said, what would I say if I asked you to marry me? I said, yeah, let's do it. So that's Michael Brown. And here we are 10 years later, and he proposed on our first date. And I said, well, here's the deal.
Wow.
I'm doing this Juice Plus thing. And he said, great, I want to take it too. And we both just started taking it, and kind of naively thought we're going to share this with other people. I can tell you that right away I noticed a change in my bowel regularity, which is personal, but it was a big deal to me because it's something I had suffered with most of my life. I'd had a colonoscopy at age 25. And as a midwife, I would do 24-hour shifts at the hospital. And I watched the nurses and the other doctors drinking caffeine through the night, eating sugar for energy. And I would just keep the extra Juice Plus capsules in my pocket. And that was my sustained energy. The other thing I noticed is that it shifted what I was craving. So all of a sudden, if I wanted a snack, I would be craving a crunchy, yummy vegetable, which I already ate really healthy, but that was definitely a shift. And so it became part of Michael's journey. And there we found ourselves living in Hawaii, and we stayed there for 8 years. So when I go back to all I really need to know I learned from labor, I think one of the first lessons I go to is women sometimes go into labor with their idea of what it will look like and how it's going to go. but really it's just about surrendering to the process. And there's a way that's much bigger than us, and allowing trust to take over. And so I think that that's part of our journey. For the next 4 years, Michael was training for the World Championship Ironman, and Juice Plus was a huge foundation to that when it came to our nutrition. We got rid of his shelf of supplements, and I was using it, like I said, to stay awake as a midwife. And we were sharing it lightly, but I think we had a little bit of ITC syndrome, otherwise known as I'm too cool. And we weren't necessarily following the franchise. Once, you get into this and you're part of a franchise, it's a tried and proven system. And so we talked too much. We didn't listen enough. And we probably went into labor thinking that we had an idea of what it was going to look like and how it should be, rather than just surrendering to the fact that people before us had done it and they had done it well. And so in 2011, we were in a really good place. We'd gotten married. We'd had an amazing 3-month honeymoon in Haiti and New Zealand and Thailand. And we were pregnant. And of course, Juice Plus was a foundation to that pregnancy. And to make a long story short, we accepted a position up in Alaska. We were going to go up to Alaska for 3 months, left our Hawaii house, rented it out, and we were driving the Alcan Highway, just the two of us, camping our way up through Alaska, some of the most remote places I've been in my entire life. And I ended up miscarrying while we were camping. And that's heavy. It still feels heavy even 6 years later. But the reason I bring it up is then we arrived in Juneau, and when we got there, they said, oh, by the way, shucks, you actually don't have a job. And we made a mistake. And oh, by the way, we were going to reimburse you for your move. We're no longer going to reimburse you for your move. So we found ourselves without a baby, without a home, without an income, without health insurance. And we couldn't go back to Hawaii because our house was fully rented out. And we had no income. And so that was the first big wake-up call, when I think our why started to strengthen and we realized the value of having a plan B. And at that point, we had enough of a franchise that we at least knew we could buy a little bit of food and our cell phone bills were paid for. But it really strengthened why we were doing this. And from that point forward, we engaged just a little bit more in saying, okay, I understand that we're both healthcare providers. He's a physical therapist and we like what we do, but there's no for sure's, and there's value in building that plan B. And so by 2012, we were pregnant again. This time the pregnancy stuck. And so I did not take prenatal vitamins. I'm not a big advocate of taking high doses of isolated, fragmented vitamins. I really believe Hippocrates was right. Food can be our medicine. So for my prenatal foundation, I was doubling up on my Juice Plus. I was adding a vitamin D as in dog, and adding extra omega, DHA, and then making sure I was eating folate-rich foods and lots of protein. And we grew a healthy Juice Plus baby, and his name is Kaimana. He's now 4.5. And so he's received Juice Plus since he was conceived and before he was conceived, through my breast milk, opened up the capsules, snuck it into his baby food. He was chewing the capsules at one point before he'd even had the chewies. And so it's just part of his life. And he is a amazing, healthy, vibrant child that generally chooses vegetables first when he chooses to eat. So then when I think about the second learning, go back to being a midwife and labor, is do the work and the preparation. It's labor. So people go to childbirth education classes. And I think the way that relates to having a franchise is doing the personal development work and really educating ourselves, and knowing the resources that are out there when we're part of a franchise. And so what that looked like for me was I realized that as a nurse practitioner, I was educated really well in disease states, symptoms, pharmaceuticals, and how to manage that. And I didn't necessarily have a strong foundation in nutrition. I had one nutrition class taught by Dr. Katz. Some of you know that name, in a 3-year master's program. And so I often think about my nurse practitioner education, and then separately I think about my Juice Plus education. And it was really through Juice Plus that I was introduced to the ideas of epigenetics and the microbiome, and really getting to the heart of foods as medicine and what foods serve in different ways, and obviously going back to the foundation of Juice Plus. And a lot of that was through going to the Prevention Plus program. So I always say, if you are invited to Prevention Plus, go. It's just invaluable what you learn and the energy that you take from that. And so the two pieces I wanted to kind of talk about because I'm a healthcare provider, like I said, is epigenetics and microbiome. So the way I think about epigenetics is a caterpillar and a butterfly have the same DNA, right? It's just a different expression of that DNA. And in the same way, our nutrition and our lifestyle can influence whether the DNA take on a different expression. So the medical term is the phenotype versus the genotype. And so particularly in pregnancy, a pregnant woman can affect her own body, her child that's in the womb, and her child's child. So literally, you're talking about impact 3 generations deep. And the more I understood that, my passion to share nutrition and my passion to share Juice Plus really grew. The second thing I mentioned is microbiome. There's a great talk right now that Dr. Mitra Ray has on Facebook. It's called Make Peace with Your Microbiota. If you haven't been invited to it, see if you can find someone who has. It's really worth your time. Going to the heart of the immune and autoimmune system in the gut. And, the key pieces are, if you can make sure that you can have a vaginal birth if you're pregnant, or if you know anyone who is. Encourage breastfeeding, skin to skin, playing in the dirt, floss your teeth, and eat lots of fiber. And for the rest of it, go to the Dr. Mitra Ray webinar. It's, once again, Make Peace with Your Microbiota, and it's really worth your time. So for me, that was part of me going to work, is learning more about nutrition and learning more about the resources that are available. And doing the personal development, because I had to get over myself and my I'm too cool syndrome. And so then we had our second wake up call, and our why grew because I realized I was pregnant with the first child, and I really couldn't imagine going right back to work and having someone else raise my child. And so I really had to do the work to get over the ITC syndrome and be willing to use the Juice Plus experts, that I could do the work to educate myself and do the work to know what resources are available within the franchise, but that it wasn't my job to do the teaching. It was my job to send people to the right resources. And we wanted to be home. And so we got to work. And Michael and I fast-tracked to senior sales coordinator by the time that Kaimana was 1. And obviously we did it together. I'm super grateful for my husband. We have a team effort, and we use the system. And we really engaged Chris and Nikki Cotton, our upline national marketing directors, and used a lot of 3-way calls, and allowed ourselves to engage in the business. So then when you go back to labor, once it starts, there's no way out, right? The labor keeps going until the baby's out, and some labors are short and some labors are long, and the momentum can change in the midst of labor. And so I realize now that just like I don't want a woman in labor to let her fears get in the way, it's the same for us as we're building a franchise. We don't want to let distractions or fears get in the way of, for many, it's that final goal of national marketing director, or whatever it is for you, to know that that end is in sight. And for some it's short and some it's long, but to just really acknowledge it as there's that one end piece. And if we want to help as many people as possible realize their dreams and inspire healthy living and giving around the world, we have to share this with other people, and we need others to share it as well. So the reason I bring that up is then we got pregnant with our second baby. Kaimana was 12 months. And I realized I was ready to move back from Hawaii to Oregon to be near family. And I think labor got a little bit too hard. There were aspects of working together with my husband that it just, it got hard. And so we moved to Oregon and we took a little bit of a break. And I'm really grateful that with Juice Plus, we have the option of a residual income and that we could take a break. And, we kept getting paid for the time that we took off. We continued to get our bonuses every holiday and our support was still there. We maintained this same leadership position. We were still at the highest commission level and, at senior sales coordinator, which is 2 of 4 leadership positions, but we also lost the momentum. And so, they always say our children do what we do, not what we say. And so our team did the same thing. As we took a break, the momentum in our team also took a break. And so it kind of, at this point, feels a little bit like one of those really long, drawn-out 3-day labors. And I know that the end is in sight, and sometimes labors can stall out. But, to get the momentum back in, allow ourselves to chase our butterflies, go to those places where we maybe feel a little bit nervous, a little bit challenged, and just like labor when it gets really hard to push through that. And so I think that that's a big learning that I've had in the realm of the Juice Plus journey. So then going back to what we learn in labor, you know how you see on like TV shows or something where you'll see a woman in labor and she points her finger at the dad and she says, "You did this to me," or "I'm gonna kill," whatever happens, that point where it gets really hard and there can be blame involved. I think that for me personally, after taking some time off, when we decided to re-engage, it was really Michael first. He decided to re-engage because he realized that we have a cap to what we have to earn. And he's still working as a physical therapist and not home with the kids as much as he would like. And he is a dreamer, probably even much better than I am. I have to allow myself to dream. I tend to be a little bit serious. And I'm not sure I was totally ready to re-engage, but he said, this is what we're doing. And so I had to really do the personal development work. And I had to take a hard look at myself and be willing to reach out to friends, re-engage in building a franchise, sharing this source of nutrition with people, and being willing to be a little bit uncomfortable without becoming that woman in labor that's like, "You did this to me." And just really realizing that we're a team and we stick by each other's side and we're both chasing our butterflies. And so I think a big part of that is I'm grateful that I have my husband and he's my buddy. But, Jay Martin, when you've asked him what's the number one thing, he says, find a buddy. Don't do it alone. And absolutely find that buddy. And then also don't blame the buddy when things get rough. Be willing to go at it. I love what Eric Worre in the GoPro, I wrote down a quote. It's on page 29 if anyone has interest. But he says, when you decide to engage in the business, go to your upline and say, "I want to thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it. Getting into business for myself was important. And I appreciate you introducing me to a company and I added nutrition support system that you believe in. And now I believe in. But from now on, when it comes to building my business, I will use you as a resource, but never as an excuse. I may call on you from time to time. If you're available, that's great. If you're not, that's okay too. I'm going to build my business and I understand one thing. It begins and ends with me." And I think that really resonates with me. Just like when I'm with a woman while she's in labor, at the end of the day, she's the one that's doing the work. And I think sometimes, if we're going to know that this is something that we're engaging in and we're not going to stop till we reach our goal, we also can't use others as an excuse. We have to know that it begins and ends with ourselves. And so today, we have myself and Michael, we're very present parents. We're both there to pick up Kaimana from preschool when he's done. I'm working 6 hours a week as an NP, and when I'm at work, he's home with the kids, and we're allowing ourselves to dream. And we know that if we keep doing the work and we allow ourselves to surrender to the process and trust that this is going to work, that in the end there will be a triumphant end, just like when I get to hand that beautiful baby over to a new set of parents. So our current goal is to bring Michael home. And there's obviously challenges and benefits to working together, and challenges and benefits to working out of the house. But I'm really thrilled about the idea of real, true time freedom and choosing the people that we work with and not having a cap to what we can earn and really making a difference in the world. And, hopefully everyone who's on this call can relate to this. This is a personal development program cleverly designed as a business. And we're both personal development junkies. So that's fun for us. It can be hard at times, but at the end of the day, that's fun. So I'm watching the time. I'm in it. So
great.
Thanks. So going back to watching women through labor, there's also then becoming a mom. And moms and dads out there, I'm sure you can really relate to this. Every time you think you've got it, they switch it up on you. Like you think you're into a pattern or you've got an idea of what they need, and then they switch it up, and you've just always got to be on your toes. And I think I find the same thing with this franchise and with our health. We continue to get older. We have new health challenges and we have to address them in different ways. We get new team members, which changes the dynamics of the team. We are personally always changing, which always adds to a new dynamic. So I love the piece to this where we perpetually get to look in the mirror and do the personal work and surrender to the process. So I have to send a big kudos out to Michael. He's always the one that helps me on that one. Hopefully you have a buddy or an upline or a sideline that also helps you along that journey. So the other piece to becoming a parent is it becomes more than just you. And so when Michael and I really sat down and said, okay, we have a boy, we have a girl, we're really happy. But if we look in the long run, it's more than just us. We wanted to gift the kids another sibling to then grow up with and raise their kids together and their cousins together. So we decided to go for a third. And at the same time, I had an aha, which is kind of another wake-up call in the midst of our Juice Plus business journey, which was as a nurse practitioner and for Michael as a physical therapist, we inspire healthy living. It's what we do in our careers. And with the Juice Plus business, we inspire healthy living. But the piece that I realized is with the Juice Plus business, I also get to help people realize their dreams. And I have a way to help others earn an income and dream and think outside the box. And so that was a big transition for me, that it became less about me and more about others. So anyway, so we decided that we were ready to go for baby number 3. And the other 3 pregnancies, we'd gotten pregnant the first time, and just no big deal. And after 6 months of trying, we still weren't pregnant. And I'm 39. I thought, okay, well, maybe it's age. And, at the end of the day, okay, no big deal. We have a boy, we have a girl. We're in a really good, balanced place. Our Juice Plus business is growing. I love our home. We're pretty good financially. There's always room for growth, but we're in a good place. And so I kind of emotionally moved on. And then right around the same time, there was the new healthy living revolution, and Jake Kelly came out with this thing called a Shred 10. And Michael said, hey, let's do a shred. And I thought, oh, come on, really? Like, I already don't eat dairy. We don't eat very much gluten. We've been taking Juice Plus for 9 years. We use the protein powder in our shakes. Is it really going to make that different? I don't want to take out caffeine. I don't like the idea of not eating my last dinner by 6 p.m. But he convinced me to do it. And so I went in kicking and screaming. And so we did a true shred and really did it for those 10 days. And I was absolutely and completely blown away. My afternoon slumps were gone. I had that stamina. I feel like my constitution changed. Anyone who knows me my entire life, I hate mornings. Like, I don't want to wake up. If I'm awake, don't talk to me until 10 o'clock in the morning. I just don't like mornings. And all of a sudden on the shred, I was the first one in the morning to get up. Michael was tiptoeing around me saying, is it okay to talk to you now? And I thought, do you think it could be this shred thing? And the other interesting thing that I realize now is a piece to my story is I'd had some pretty intense chronic pain in my neck. Neurosurgeons wanted to go in and do reconstructive surgery. And it had just been part of my life for 8 years. And I realize now I've been pain-free since we started shredding. And I think I realize now how inflammatory gluten is, and I hadn't given it the true credit that I needed to. So anyway, we did our first shred. We signed on for the T120. Now we've been on whatever you want to call it, the Healthy Living Revolution for, I don't know, more than 9 months. And we did a shred once a month. And about 3 to 4 months in, I missed my period. And I'd even forgotten that were trying to have a third. It was still great, but we were pregnant with number 3. And when I looked back at kind of the science behind the shred and what Dr. Mitra Ray says, it clicked that doing the Healthy Living Revolution is about allowing people's internal organs to function at their maximal capacity. And even though I thought we had pretty impeccable diets and that we were really healthy, I really feel like it was doing the full system for 3 to 4 months. And then our bodies really became ready. And so we were pregnant. Once again, if that Dr. Mitra Ray talk that's online right now, she even addresses the infertility piece. So if you have anybody that needs to hear that message, if they're willing to watch it, it's an hour long, but it's awesome. So now we're pregnant with number 3. I'm 22 weeks along, still doubling up on my Juice Plus. I'm still not taking prenatal vitamins, and now doing 2 shakes a day. And I cannot wait. I've always taken a fish oil and a pregnancy DHA in my pregnancies. But now come to find out the company is going to come out with the plant-based omega. So I can't wait for that. Still doing an extra vitamin D as in dog and a quality probiotic. And we're continually growing our food with our tower gardens. I forgot to say, I made all of Kaimana's baby food through the tower gardens. And the other piece that I'm grateful to the Healthy Living Revolution is this pregnancy, I think I'm also more aware of my water intake, my sleep, my mindfulness, my exercise. And then through the franchise, the personal development piece, it was really awesome to go to my first image. And I think doing it while pregnant is big. So I'm still practicing as a midwife and a nurse practitioner, not a whole lot, but enough to maintain it. I'm an active and present mom. Michael is a very active and present dad. And we're really working on bringing him home, and we're allowing ourselves to dream and turn a plan B into a plan A, do the work, do the labor, and know that there will be an end in sight. And I really love the idea of being able to just spontaneously meet our upline national marketing directors in Mexico. They got to go and, on a Tuesday decided to go and left the next day. I thought, I want to be able to find out Wednesday afternoon and have the whole family down meeting them and do our work from Mexico. So I think, the big thing I want to end with is obviously thanks to the Juice Plus business. I think it's been a lovely way for me to be educated as a provider. I'm grateful that it's been a foundation for all of my pregnancies. I think the journey is what helped me get pregnant. And big thanks to my buddy, my husband, my biggest fan. Thanks to my team and our upline national marketing directors. And I just surely look forward to birthing the NMD. Hopefully, if you guys see me up on stage, you'll see it like as this triumphant, she gave birth. She had a baby. And that's all I have.
Wow. So that was more than enough. That was absolutely stunning. Some people who didn't know you, I said, just trust me, she will blow your socks off. And I know they're nodding as they're watching tonight. I don't think I've ever had so many comments on the chat saying that somebody had done such a great job. You've really inspired. And I know a lot of people really saw your heart, Maraya, and how important and how changed this is. And I have to tell you that when Michael and Maraya took that time off, we were really disappointed because we loved working with them, but it wasn't their time. And we stayed in connection with them, and we, cheered them on with what they were doing. And I have to say, when they decided to come back in, you can't imagine how excited we were. But I just want to tell you, from going from hardly any volume, not qualifying at all, within 6 months, they're doing well over, they have increased their volume every single month by 1,000 points, every month, every month, every month. So they're back to getting to where they were as senior sales coordinator after taking a lot of time off, building a brand new team. And this time around, I think it is a good thing that they took that break, because they're coming at it with the whole new perspective and really understanding about the system. And I have to say, Michael and Maraya are the most teachable people we've ever worked with. They've just been amazing. So I know we're running over their time, but does anybody, if you have to get off to go to another call, feel free, but does anybody have any questions or anything that they feel like they really need to say?
Maraya, do you feel that you're attracting a different type of person now on this second go around than you guys did when you first got started?
Good question. Michael, are you on there? I'd be interested to hear what you think. Are we attracting a different person?
I feel like we're bringing in a different energy for sure. I feel like connecting with a type of tribe. Yeah.
I can't.
that was kind of I don't know. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're still the same people. But there's definitely the shift. I mean, we attract the people that we're around. And so there's definitely a lot of parents and people with toddlers. And I think the bigger thing that I notice is rather than continuing to badger the same people or have you have a plant and you're adding more water and more water. I love the analogy in St. Louis where they talk about the popcorn and you put a few kernels and then you sit there and watch them and maybe you add a little bit extra oil. I think I'm realizing that really, truly, you wait till they take a step and then you meet their step. And if they're not taking steps, you go out and find new people. And so I'm a little bit more detached, I guess, from the outcome and just letting people be who they want to be and knowing that there's lots and lots more popcorn kernels that I can throw in there and something's going to pop.
And I have to say, Maraya, in watching the differences that you are attracting a lot of incredible people. Like you've said over and over again, the people that you're attracting now, you've always had on your dream team that didn't come forth before. True. And whether they're popping yet or not, they are coming on board with the product. They are taking a look. They're taking a peek. They're different than they were 10 years ago in terms of this was really the dream team you saw.
Right. Like my sister finally engaged after 9 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks, Lisa, for that question. Anything else? Good. Well, I think whoops, does somebody want to go? No. So I think if everybody would unmute their phone so we can have a great last moment hurrah to really thank Maraya. We've got a great call scheduled for next week. Brand New 39 Club is going to be on our call. Really, she's totally excited. So we're going to go from one incredible speaker to another one. Maraya?
Yeah, thank you, Maraya.
Thank you,
Maraya's amazing. You're glowing. Thank you.